I've talked about one very impressive study by John Hattie. He collected data for years where each of his data points was itself the result of another study that took a long time. That's a lot of work. I want to explain to you how MOOCs offer the opportunity to do all these studies much more quickly and efficiently. The first thing to know is that every single click on the major platforms is tracked. If you were to pause the video now, they would know it. If you're watching this accelerated, they know it as well. They also know how often a student posts on the forum or how many times they tried quiz questions. All this data is analyzed, and some of the smartest brains in the world actually try to make sense out of it. The big question, is what works best for teaching online, and maybe even what works best for teaching. A video of a talking head, Beamer slides with an insert of the instructor, or maybe without the insert. Some guy's paper cutouts? Who knows? This data is analyzed, and it's not a sample size of n equals 20, but it's more like n equals 2 million. I'll try to give you a flavor of what is already possible. Let's start with a concrete situation. Let's say you have an ad for a cool project to change the world. You want people to help you. So you'll write a flyer that says, "Want to change the world? Come and join me at this day and place." You know that that's not enough to attract people, so you want to add a hook before. You don't know for sure what to put in. You think maybe the line "want cookies" or "want pizza" might attract people. But what will grab people's attention and attract people to your project? You don't know, and in the real world, you won't know unless you try both in parallel and see afterwards which one is most successful. How do you do that? Well, by interviewing the people who show up. This takes time, and again, it doesn't scale well. Let's say now you're Google. You literally make millions of dollars of revenue per hour, most of it through people clicking on ads in the sidebar. One of your employees thinks that a particular shade of green will definitely help highlight the ads, but not too much so that it doesn't bother the users. You, as Google, want to try it because you know there is a lot of money there, but you are afraid of changing something that works pretty well already. So what you can do is to pick a random 10% of the users of a random small country, say Belgium, and show to them that new green shade. And then you can compare those users to other users where the experiment was not performed. Maybe you can also pick another country, say the Netherlands, and do the same experiment with another color, say orange. Or you can try changing the size of the ads, or all at the same time fitting each user into their own highly individualized blend of experiments. As long as you can extract meaningful data, why wouldn't you do it? Well, that's what Google does. Every time you go on Google, hundreds of experiments are actually performed on you. The page you get for a particular search is slightly different from the page offered to anyone else for the same search, and they try to optimize the page for you. This is called A/B testing and is used extensively to optimize the web. I know it sounds silly to talk about this for education, but I don't think it really is silly. Many blackboards are dark green because some tests were performed a long time ago and people figured out this was better for the eyes. You can see the similarity with Google's experiment there. Many more studies have been done since in education to try to improve other factors, maybe more meaningful than just the blackboard color. But this is slow and requires lots of manual work. Again, similar studies can be done in a MOOC space, but actually much more is possible, much faster and much more efficiently. For instance, you can alter the material presented to the students in very subtle ways and see what has an effect and what does not. So let's say you split your class in two and measure how effective it actually is to start a class with a little preview of the problem that you want to solve at the end. This could be done effortlessly by the teacher or someone doing educational research. The technology to perform these studies exists and is well understood because it was used extensively in other industries before and is now being applied to education. Some conferences are starting on these topics and releasing lots of insight into what works and what does not. It's hard to argue when someone comes with a study conducted on millions of students. You ask for a follow-up, and 6 months later, they come back with that follow-up. This is tremendously accelerating for education and very exciting.
Education is vital. It enriches our lives, sustains our communities, and helps us grow into the future. At least, that's the idea. Truth is, education as we know it is failing millions around the world. Take Tando, for example. He's a bright kid with big dreams, but the education he's getting is holding him back. You see, Tando's school can't afford the latest learning materials, so he has to work with textbooks that are completely outdated. To make matters worse, Tando's teacher is also left using outdated information, often without even realizing it. And even if he manages to overcome this and gets into college, the cost of all the lessons, books, and notes he needs will land Tando in a pile of debt. It's not just Tando. This situation is being replayed in schools and colleges all around the world. So much for education for all. So how can we fix things? The answer lies in open education. Open education is a global movement that aims to bring quality education to teachers and students everywhere. The basic idea is to put top-notch learning materials on the web that anyone can access for free. You see, unlike textbooks, open ed resources can always be revised, so they're never out of date. Teachers are given free license to adapt them and improve them, giving students exactly what they need to achieve their dreams. As all open ed resources are free to share, schools are no longer limited by where they are or how much money they have. And if you think open education doesn't make the grade, think again. Open ed resources are being created by the world's most respected institutions and scholars. And the Obama administration is set to invest up to $2 billion in open ed in the next 4 years alone. From the highest branches of government right down to grassroots level, open education is changing lives. Visit creativecommons.org/education to learn more.
For the longest time, human societies evolved very slowly. But since not so long ago, our pace of change has been increasing exponentially, ever faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and a lot faster. This constant evolution is only possible through the production and assimilation of knowledge, and a system transmitting it from generation to generation. The most efficient system we have come up with so far is formal education, a process whose pinnacle of achievement is a degree from a top university. The education given at these institutions opens a huge window of opportunities, as students learn from the highest qualified professors and acquire the most cutting-edge knowledge available. But the system as it is cannot deliver this knowledge to everyone. It is by nature exclusive. Now, imagine that this were to change. How would our world be if everyone could benefit from the opportunities offered by studying at these institutions? Well, this is already happening. Some of the best universities in the US are openly sharing their courses online. And this is just part of a trend. The trend of open educational resources. OERs are revolutionary technologies of knowledge delivery that use the internet to share and spread educational content, making high-quality education available for each motivated person to access for free. Opening access to top university courses is just one of the many things OERs can do. They can also serve as the best high school tutor, guiding you through thousands of topics with interactive exercises. They make up what may be the biggest textbook library in the world and provide the best tailored way to improve and broaden your professional skills at your own pace. OERs are creating a new system of education, one which is better adapted to respond to our highly dynamic economy. Equal access to knowledge means equal opportunities in life. And in a world with equal opportunities, it all depends on you. Now that's the meaning of freedom.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, has reported some good news about education in 2 areas of Somalia. Puntland and Somaliland are now relatively peaceful and secure, at least compared to central and southern Somalia. A study found that in Puntland, the share of students in primary education increased from 26% to 43% over the last 5 years. A smaller increase was reported in Somaliland. In both cases, the gains in school attendance were greater among boys than among girls. Girls leaving school is a problem across Somalia. For example, only 1/3 of Somali girls who had completed 1st grade took the Form 4 exam in the 2011-2012 school year. And girls represent only 28% of students in Somali secondary schools. The communications chief for UNICEF in Somalia, Susanna Price, says more schools are being built. She says the agency is developing projects in several fields of education. She also says UNICEF has been working on training teachers and developing non-traditional forms of education. Some of these programs are for children of families that herd livestock and move from place to place. Susanna Price says education is very important to the future of Somalia. But there are problems in getting parents to send girls to school. The spokeswoman says UNICEF encourages equality between males and females in education. More universal education could help Puntland and Somaliland also improve other areas of development, such as health care. For VOA Learning English, I'm Laurel Bowman.